Oh, ladies and gentlemen, it has been too long since we've had a chance to converse and talk to one another. Hope you're doing okay. Welcome back to the Casual Commentators. And today we got a little bit of an interesting subject. This might be a quick one. I said that about the Bohemian Rhapsody video, but then I managed to stretch that out to 12 minutes. So I'd like to discuss Ben Affleck being out of the Matt Reeves 2021 Batman film, because I personally think it's a stupid decision. It's stupid, and for a couple reasons. One, the big one really is DC is having the most difficult time since, I think, Man of Steel was in like 2013. They've had the most difficult time bringing together a cinematic universe in the same fashion that Marvel has done with theirs. I mean, that's a point that I've touched on before, and it's obvious, it's common sense that DC really hasn't had the same success. But one of the biggest reasons why the MCU works so well is consistency in terms of the characters. Well, yeah, sure, you could say that when different directors do take over certain films. You know, you had Joss Whedon taking on the Avengers, and so the interpretation of the characters might be separately different in how they act from their solo films. That's different directors, different things. What's to be expected? But there's still a very large level of consistency in who the characters are. Mainly, and this is obvious, mainly in who's playing them. You don't have a revolving door of people playing Iron Man or playing Thor. The only instances where we get a separate actor playing one of these characters is a childhood sequence. You had you had the two child actors playing Thor and Loki in Thor in 2011. I think that Peter Quill had a child actor. There's more examples, I'm certain, but if they are in the MCU, if they're doing a time-related thing where it's like back in the past, they will use the actors, and maybe they'll do some CGI or a little makeup. Who knows? I mean, you had the sequence in what was it? Ant-Man, I believe, when you had Michael Douglas and all of them sort of aged down a bit. People said that looked bad. I thought it looked fine. So it's entirely possible to keep the consistency of the actors while telling, an event that happened earlier in their life. But they're keeping the same actors. That's the important part. And that's what I think that DC is making another mistake in doing, is introducing another actor to play Batman. Because now what's going to happen is once this movie comes out, people are going to be like comparing the two. They're going to say, oh, Affleck was great, but let's say Nick Jonas, for whatever reason, gets cast. God forbid. Nick Jonas gets cast. They're going to say, oh, who was better, Nick Jonas or Ben Affleck? When they're playing the same character in the same universe. So if you want that level of conflict for a singular character, because it's in the same universe, I just don't think that is worth it enough to create that level of, I don't want to say confusion, because I feel like most people would understand it's in the same universe, but that level of just perceptive imbalance of a character. Because, I mean, it just rubs me the wrong way. It rubs me the wrong way. Because I feel like Ben Affleck is a solid Batman. I don't think he's the best by any means. That's much more the directing issue by Zack Snyder than Affleck's performance itself. I thought he was fine. And I thought that you would have a really good opportunity to expand upon him more in a solo film. Think about it. The DCEU has rolled through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They'll have 8 movies in their extended universe by the time we get a solo Batman film. I'm not saying that, I mean, you don't need to have a solo Batman film starting things off. I mean, that's a separate video about how I would have restructured the DC universe. But think about it. There's 8 movies before we get a Batman film. Yet Batman's been involved since, the second film, Batman vs. Superman, which came out in 2016. So he's been involved in so many films, but he's always been sort of just a supporting a lead character, sure. But he's just a cog in the machine of these films, as opposed to being the real main figurehead. And when you think about it, he hasn't really done a whole lot in Justice League, name one thing that he did. You know, when you had the Parademons come out, he got sidetracked by one of them, and the rest of the league was taking him out left and right, and he was struggling with one. So you have this issue where you set up your Batman as an incompetent character, right, with Ben Affleck. And so I was thinking it'd be a good idea, because I know that this film, the Matt Reeves one, is going for more of a detective approach, so which I really enjoy. I think that that's a fantastic opportunity to expand upon one of his, I mean, in the comics, him being a detective, he's the greatest detective in the world. That's one of his main attributes, but that really hasn't transferred over to film. I know that in, like, the animated TV show, it was a bit more prevalent. I know there's been adaptations where the detective side of him is there, but by and large for something in my mouth, by and large for the adaptations that are on the big screen, there's really not a lot of detecting work that he does. And so I'm thinking that, sure, well, he may get sidetracked in Justice League by these interdimensional things, because he's a human. That's another thing. He's a human. So sure, he gets sidetracked. That's fine. But then give him some more depth by showing how he's this phenomenal detective. Because at this point, what you've established before the Matt Reeves film is he's really just somewhat incompetent as, I don't want to say a superhero, because there are glimpses of him holding his own against street-level thugs, and I mean, sure, you could say he held his own against Superman, even though Superman could literally kill him anytime Superman wants. So, like, he's not entirely competent. It's just, like, it's kind of one-dimensional at this point. And with Batman, you have so many different layers of complexity, and I'm thinking that this film would have been a great opportunity to touch upon a couple of those with Ben Affleck. But now that's not going to happen because Ben Affleck's not in it. So, it irritates me. It irritates me that they're not having this consistency. And I'm not sure how it's going to turn out, because I've known that there's been a couple in terms of writing problems, because I know that then Affleck was going to be writing for it, and then he's not, and then so when you have all of this behind the scenes trouble, this whole video is common sense. All right, I will be transparent with you. This entire video is obvious stuff. I'm just pointing it out because I need to make content. But when you have these troubles in, you know, the writer's room and behind the scenes, that translates over into the final product, and you have a really rough product. Look at Suicide Squad. That movie was cut up and reworked. Look at Solo. You had to reshoot 70% of the entire film, and it's still kind of just meh. You know, when you try to rework, I mean, look at all the stuff with Zack Snyder. I don't like Zack Snyder. I don't like him. But I will concede to you that he's had his fair share of studio interference and behind-the-scenes trouble, which has affected his initial vision and the overall product, which is annoying. If you're going to have a director, trust their vision. And I don't think that that's happened with Matt Reeves's Batman film. I don't think that there's been any sticking to the plan. It seems very willy-nilly in the fact that you have this... I mean, this movie was being planned for a long time. Years. Ever really since, I want to say, Man of Steel. Because when you mention Superman, you have to mention Batman. Those are the two most iconic... And sure, Wonder Woman too, but we got a Wonder Woman movie, which was fine. It was a fine movie. You have two of the most iconic superheroes ever. I'd say Batman is even almost more so than Superman. That's tough sell. But and then you don't have a solo film for 8 movies. So I think that this movie has been on the table for years, but it's had its fair share of problems. And so you're going to have this expectation that's rising, but the quality is declining because of so many problems that are occurring. So, I mean, you have a release date of 2021, and your main actor just stepped out. I don't know, guys. I don't have a good feeling. I don't have a good feeling about it. I really don't. Because I don't, and because I've seen some things on Instagram where it's like, oh, who do you think should play the next Batman? And they list people to the likes of Nick Jonas, Zac Efron, Taron Egerton. And I'm like, are you kidding me? These are the people that you want to play Batman? These, former Disney Channel stars that are heartthrobs as opposed to... It just... If they cast someone like that, which I think they will, to capitalize on sort of the younger generation. I mean, look what they did with Zachary Levi and Shazam. Young, good-looking guy. Young, I'm not sure how old he is, but he's good-looking. He looks young. And he doesn't exactly look like the comic version of Shazam, because the comic version of Shazam looks... I've got the first Golden Age comic right there. It looks fairly similar to Superman in terms of physique, structure of the face. So they're going for a different type of more relatable superhero, which I'm for. I'm for that. But not for Batman. Batman's not Shazam. The tone of Shazam would not work in a Batman film. I mean, look, this extended universe has already dabbled in ruining characters and betraying how they're established and written for 70 plus years and have been shown in previous adaptations. This DCEU has betrayed that completely with Batman in Batman vs. Superman. And so I guess it doesn't matter at this point. Maybe there's no rules. Maybe, they'll just cast Zac Efron and be like, oh, look at that. Maybe he'll sing and dance. Maybe he'll make quips like Spider-Man. Oh boy, everybody loves a good joke from now and then. No, we don't. So that's sort of my thoughts on it. I think that the problem really lies in the inconsistency, because it's completely doable to make Ben Affleck seem younger, whether it be CGI or toss some makeup on him or something. And I would have liked to see that side of his character with Ben Affleck in the role, because we'll see the side of the character because it's the same Batman, but it's a different actor. So it's never good. That's just never good, and I don't like the feel of that personally. But those are just my thoughts on it. Really not looking forward to it. Hell, I might not even see it, because my interest in DC's universe is really just, it's a zero. I don't care about it that much, which sucks because I'm a huge DC fan. It's ironic that I say that, and it's somewhat contradictory. And you might say, oh, Ben, well, how can you say that? Because I'm not really impressed with what they've been doing the past few years. I think that they've made moves in the right direction for their business, in the sense of making it more relatable, toning it into like a Marvel-type humor, as opposed to the gritty realism that DC Comics is sort of about, and is sort of known for, of the darker, more serious stories. But sure, we'll take it lighthearted, whatever. And so that's sort of where it's like, yeah, sure, they're making good movies. I mean, Aquaman, over $1 billion, phenomenal cinematography, visuals. I heard the script is awful. Again, I haven't seen it. I did actually want to see it, because I like James Wan. But it's not truthful to the characters. That's the thing. And then you could say, oh, if they were truthful to the characters, then Aquaman would be a bumbling idiot. You could say that, sure, I disagree, but I don't know. I'm just not feeling good about it. I'll probably make some more videos about Shazam, about the Suicide Squad relaunch as opposed to a sequel, and how that's a problem as well. Wonder Woman 1984, I know that's on the table. And I know that there's a Birds of Prey thing in the works. So it's like DC is producing projects, but I just don't think that it's at the caliber that it should be. And my biggest, if you want, I'll just buff this video out to 15 minutes. The reason why I don't think it's like that is because you don't have an architect like Kevin Feige. Zack Snyder's not that guy. Zack Snyder is a fine director. I think if you want to have him take on these projects, I think that his tone is a bit too dark, to be honest. I know that I just said they should be serious, but he takes it to a whole different level. But sure, have him as director. But you need an architect, someone to really create the storyline, the overarching universe aspect. That's why it's an extended universe as opposed to just making solo films that don't have any connection to each other. You need someone to weave them and stitch everything together, and Zack Snyder's not that guy. And since DC hasn't found that guy, but they've been pumping out projects since 2013, now you have this weird conflict where it's like, yes, now we're all in the same universe, but the universe kind of sucks. So, we'll see what happens. I did want to watch Titans, though. I know it's awful, but that was the project Marco and I were supposed to start on We were going to do an audio commentary and, like, review of Titans, but didn't happen. Well, again, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed my thoughts on what's going to be going down with the Batman film. I'm sure I'll do a little bit more research on it and maybe make a second video if I'm doing a holistic DC type discussion. But that's where we're at right now. Not really looking forward to it. I think that it's a bad move to recast Batman. Everyone seems to love it, though, on social media. Everyone really doesn't care. They're like, oh, Ben Affleck's out? Yay! That means we get to have a younger, more relatable... And it is going to be younger, but as I stated before, it's just CGI. It's not impossible. Well, I mean, you know, here's the thing. CGI with DC, bad track record. Put a mustache on my face, Ben, when you're editing this. Haha, I don't edit these because I can't import things to my computer. Woo! Again, thanks for watching. Please go like our other stuff, share, subscribe, follow. You guys know the drill. I'll catch you cats in the next one.